Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai Gopal. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 9 answers by citing the Lord's version. Text number 36. Etāvad eva jijñāsyam etāvadeva jijñāsyam etāvadeva jijñāsyam tattva-jijñāsunā ātmanaḥ tattva-jijñāsunātmanaḥ tattva-jijñāsunātmanaḥ anvaya-vyatirekābhyāṁ 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 yat syāt sarvatra sarvadā yat syāt sarvatra sarvadā yat syāt sarvatra sarvadā etāvadeva jijñāsyam tattva-jijñāsunātmanaḥ anvaya-vyatirekābhyāṁ 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 yat syāt sarvatra sarvadā. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Personality of Godhead, most certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and directly and indirectly. Please repeat this translation. A person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Personality of Godhead, most certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly. Continue to read the purport. Therefore, the devotional service of the Lord with perfect knowledge through the training of a bona fide spiritual master is advised for everyone, even if one happens not to be a human being. Bhakti is advised even for those who are not human beings. This is confirmed in the Garuda Purana as follows. Kita pakshi mriganam cha harau sanyasta chetasam urdhvam eva gatim manye kim punar jnaninam drinam. Even the worms, birds and beasts are assured of elevation to the highest perfection of life if they are completely surrendered to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So what to speak of the philosophers amongst the human beings? Therefore, there is no need to seek properly qualified candidates for discharging devotional service to the Lord. Let them be either well-behaved or ill-trained. Let them be either learned or fools. Let them be either grossly attached or in the renounced order of life. Let them be liberated souls or desirous of salvation. Let them be inexpert in the discharge of devotional service or expert in the same. All of them can be elevated to the supreme position by discharging devotional service under the proper guidance. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.30 and 32 as follows. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabha sadureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hisaha mami partha vyapashritya ye visyu papa yonayaha striyo vaishyas tatha shudras tevi yanti param gatim. Even if a person is fully addicted to all sorts of sinful acts, if he happens to be engaged in the loving transcendental service of the Lord under proper guidance, he is to be considered the most perfect holy man without a doubt. And thus, any person, whatsoever and whosoever he or she may be, even the fallen woman, the less intelligent laborer, the dull mercantile man, or even a man lower than all these, can attain the highest perfection of life by going back home, back to Godhead, provided he or she takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in all earnestness. This sincere earnestness is the only qualification that can lead one to the highest perfectional state of life. And unless and until such real earnestness is aroused, there is a difference between cleanliness or uncleanliness, learning or non-learning in the material estimation. Fire is always fire, and thus if someone touches the fire knowingly or unknowingly, the fire will act in its own way without discrimination. The principle is Harir harati papani dushta chittair api smritaha. The all-powerful Lord can purify the devotee of all sinful reactions, just as the sun can sterilize all sorts of infections by its powerful rays. Attraction for material enjoyment cannot act upon a pure devotee of the Lord. There are hundreds and thousands of aphorisms in the revealed scriptures. Ātmā-rāmaśca-munayaha. Even the self-realized souls are also attracted by the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha. Simply by hearing and chanting, one becomes a great devotee of Vasudeva. Na chalati bhagavat padara vindal lava nimishardham api sa vaishnavabhyaha. A person who does not move from the lotus feet of the Lord even for a moment or a second is to be considered the greatest of all Vaishnavas. Bhagavat parshadatam prapte matsevaya pratitam te pratitam te. The pure devotees are convinced of attaining the association of the Personality of Godhead, and thus they are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Thus, therefore, in all continents, in all planets, in all universes, devotional service of the Lord or Bhakti Yoga is current. Where all Bhakti Yoga is current? In all continents, in all planets, and in all universes. That means all over the creation. And that is the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam and allied scriptures. Everywhere means in every part of the creation of the Lord. The Lord can be served by all the senses or even simply by the mind. The South Indian Brahmana who served the Lord simply on the strength of his mind also factually realized the Lord. Success is guaranteed for a devotee who fully engages any one of his senses in the mode of devotional service. The Lord can be served by any ingredient, even the most common commodity, a flower, a leaf, a fruit, or a little water, which are available in any part of the universe and without cost. And thus the Lord is served universally by the universal entities. He can be served simply by hearing. He can be served simply by chanting or reading about his activities. He can be served simply by adoring him and accepting him. I'll stop here. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Galadhara Srivasati Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this verse, the Lord is instructing Brahma about bhakti, and he's particularly mentioning syāt sarvatra sarvadā. In all space and time, in all circumstances, one should search out for the Supreme Personality of God, the Supreme Absolute Truth. This is the real goal of life for everyone. Now, in this section of the purport that I read, it is explained that devotional service of the Lord with perfect knowledge through the training of a bona fide spiritual master is advised for everyone. This advice is given for everyone means even for the other living entities who are lower than humans. Kita Pakshi Mriganam cha. Kita means worms, Pakshi means birds, and Mriga means beasts, animals. So all of them can be elevated to the highest perfection of life. They don't have to wait for a human birth if they are completely surrendered to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Somebody wonder, how can worms and beasts and birds engage in devotional service or surrender to the Supreme Lord? Now, that may not be possible if we try to instruct them. But it is quite possible for any living being in any form of body, if they are able to get the instructions or directions for devotional service from the Supreme Lord Himself or from His devotee who is empowered for this purpose. The chanting of a pure devotee is actually very, very powerful. What happens when a pure devotee chants? The transcendental vibration spreads from the place where he is stationed to all over the creation, all over the universe. And whosoever hears it falls, the spiritual vibration will act, including the lower animals, birds, bees, insects, plants, reptiles, aquatics, everyone. Now, when a particular soul, we should remember every living being is a spirit soul, maybe in a different body, but everyone is spirit soul. So if the soul or Atma inside the body of a human or a worm or a bird or any other type of body, if that Atma is aroused, is awakened by such transcendental vibrations falling on its ears, then there is a possibility that they can begin devotional service. And devotional service, once begun, can be continued to the stage of perfection in a very short time. It's up to the living being, up to the soul, up to the person. Everybody has got what is called as free will. Generally, in the lower species of life, the free will is exercised under very, very restricted conditions. Because we are very tiny spirit soul, we are influenced by the external situation. Even the body that I have is external to me. So I may be influenced by my body, I may be influenced by my mind, I may be influenced by my surroundings, by the people I associate with, by the objects I associate with. I can be influenced by any of these. Now, I may choose to not get influenced by any of these, and instead I may choose to selectively get influenced or get associated with transcendental sound vibration, transcendental devotional service. That is my choice. Just like even among human beings, you consider some people, they choose to come to a temple and offer prayers. Some people don't. So that's the choice of the particular person. It's a choice. And even among those who come to the temple, not everybody may agree to take up devotional service as a regular practice. Some may just come, pray, and then go away. And they came for a specific purpose to the temple to pray to the Lord for some relief or some desire to be fulfilled. Or just as a matter of duty, they might have come to the temple to pray and then go away. They may not take up devotional service as a regular practice. So that is their choice. So this free will always exists with a living being, with a jiva, with a soul, spirit soul in any body. So some fortunate living being, even in a lower life form, can get influenced by the powerful sound vibration produced by the chanting of a pure devotee like Prabhupada, and can take up devotional service, because within that sound vibration is also the power to purify the heart, the power to awaken self-knowledge. You see, knowledge about myself, who I am, is already there in my heart. It's already there in your heart. It's already there in the heart of every living being. It is just covered. There are two things. One is the covering of the real knowledge, and other thing is the influence based on the desire to enjoy. So I have one kind of covering, or one set of covering, which is typically the mind and the body, represented by this mind and body, one type of covering. You may have a different type of covering represented by your mind and body. So each living being has got that kind of covering of the mind and body. A dog has got a dog's mentality, dog behavior, dog's mind, we say. So that is the covering for the soul in that dog's body. Then there is the another covering of the body itself, the senses, which are instruments for the dog to work, to act, to try to satisfy its senses, its desires. So this is the covering. This has nothing to do with the spirit soul inside the body. The soul is not dog. The soul is not a worm. The soul is not human being. You see? Soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Soul is devotee. Soul is actually spiritually a person, a transcendental person. So such a soul in any body can be awakened to real knowledge by the powerful sound vibration of the chanting of the pure devotee. You see? That's why pure devotees, they chant. Prabhupada's guru was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's guru was one Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Now this particular Vaishnava, devotee Acharya, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he would sit in one place and chant Hare Krishna. Generally, he would not travel much, he would not speak much, he would not do much of preaching. He didn't establish any institution. He did not write any books. But he is Acharya because he would sit and purely chant Hare Krishna. Now what is the effect of such chanting by the pure devotee? Very, very powerful. Such chanting purifies the whole universe. By his chanting, he can deliver everyone in the universe. How does it work? His chanting is pure. So it has power to penetrate the heart of any living being anywhere in the entire universe. The vibration spreads. Just like you are hearing a radio station or receiving TV waves, they are coming from some satellite somewhere in outer space. Where are they broadcast from? Some country 10,000 miles away. And they are being broadcast and it's spread all over the earth. The waves are spread. So materially, if it is possible for the waves to be spread everywhere and you to catch using the right device, a television receiver set, you can receive those waves and watch the program that is being broadcast. So what is the difficulty for spiritual sound vibration to spread everywhere in the whole universe? And for the jiva, the right jiva, to catch this vibration, provided he tunes in to this frequency, spiritual frequency. It's up to the jiva. Just like you have a television set, you have a remote in your hand. You can select which station you want to watch, which is broadcasting, correct? You select that. It's in your hand. Similarly, the jiva can tune into the frequency of the sound vibration being transmitted by the chanting of the pure devotee, and he can choose to listen to that, to respond to that. Now, as far as the vibration is concerned, the spiritual vibration penetrates the heart and touches the soul, but it is up to the soul to respond, the particular jiva, whether he wants to respond to that or not. So, some fortunate jiva, some soul, even in a bird's body, or a dog's body, or an insect body, or an aquatic body, can respond to such transcendental sound vibration, and the devotional service within the heart, the transcendental knowledge can be awakened. And once this knowledge is awakened, then devotional service begins. All of you are sitting here because your transcendental knowledge has been awakened. That's why you are sitting here and hearing what is being told in the Bhagavatam. So that transcendental knowledge has been awakened in you. Now, this can happen not only for human beings, it can happen for other spirit souls in other types of bodies also. So, devotional service, once begun, is never lost. So, let us say somebody in any form, let's say human form even, begins devotional service. In the next life, due to some reason, they could not take human birth. They did not get human birth. They get birth in the lower species. Still the devotional service is not lost. It can continue. Just like we had an example in the Bhagavatam, there was one king by name Bharat Maharaj. He was the emperor of the world. He retired from his kingly duties and went to the forest, and in a holy place he practiced austerities for self-realization. He became advanced, but before he could achieve perfection in that life, he became attached to a deer at the end of his life, and he had to take a deer's birth in his next life. Even though he had to take a deer's body, still his devotional service was not lost. The advancement he had made was completely intact. In fact, he had advanced almost to the state of perfection. Very, 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 very advanced. So that advancement was not lost. Even in the deer's body, he was able to continue his devotional service. And he became perfect in that very life. He became perfect in that very life. So, this perfection, as is told here, is open for every living being. Anybody can take up devotional service in any type of situation, any circumstances. So therefore, the statement of this verse, syāt sarvatra sarvadā, devotional service is applicable for everyone in all circumstances, in all space and time, in all situations, in all types of bodies, without any discrimination. Whereas all the other yoga systems, other than bhakti, it does matter whether somebody is in a suitable type of body. Generally, yoga is meant for those in human type of body. Other yoga systems are meant for those in human type of body. And even in the human type of body, they should have developed consciousness. They should have practiced some good habits. They should have become cultured, samskara. Therefore, in human society, there is samskara. Jata karma, nama karna, vidyarambha, annaprashna. All these samskaras are for giving an opportunity to develop the culture to actually take up yoga practice. But as far as bhakti yoga is concerned, there is no need for somebody to go through all these samskaras. If they are able to come in contact with a pure devotee who can direct a interested person from any stage to come to the stage of accepting or beginning devotional service or bhakti yoga practice. So bhakti yoga can be begun by anybody from any stage. They can be elevated directly to the platform of accepting bhakti only by a pure devotee. So this association or contact with pure devotee is very essential. Without that, bhakti yoga is not possible. So if somebody is fortunate to meet a pure devotee in any form of life, one can begin, provided one voluntarily accepts. That is very important. No bhakti yoga or devotional service can be forced upon somebody. It cannot be forced. Because Krishna does not want force in this regard. As far as Maya is concerned, Maya will force us to accept a type of body, to accept some suffering, or even undergo some enjoyment. Maya will force us, whether we like it or not, according to the reactions of our own actions, material activities. But bhakti or bhakti yoga, devotional service is never forced. It is the voluntary choice of every living being. Completely you are free to choose to accept or not accept bhakti. Therefore you see, somebody begins bhakti yoga and even before they achieve perfection, they may quit practicing. They may leave practicing. At any stage they can leave practicing. Sometimes people wonder, why do somebody who have been practicing, why do they leave in between? What happens? What they don't realize is, every moment the choice is given. Whether you want to do or you don't want to do devotional service. Whether you want to accept or not accept. Whether you want to continue or not continue. The choice is always with you. Always. It is never forced. You have to exercise your good intelligence and you should select, you should choose. If you choose not to do devotional service, even if you have practiced for a long time, there is no force. It is not, devotional service is not a conditioning. Conditioning means, supposing I have developed some habit, good or bad. Generally, without any force, without any choice, I may simply continue with the habit. In fact, to give up habits is difficult. Especially to give up bad habits is very difficult. Even if you choose to give up bad habits, even if you exert yourself to give up bad habits, it's sometimes not possible. It's not easy. Whereas devotional service is not like that. It's not a question of habit. It's not something which is conditioning. It is not a force that is acting like the force of bad habit or some material force or material influence. No. Devotional service is the choice of the living being who is awakened in knowledge, in self-knowledge. So there has to be awakening within the heart, and that awakening happens only when you contact a pure devotee or the Supreme Lord, and that contact has to be favorable for you to voluntarily accept. Of course, in rare cases, somebody does not voluntarily accept devotional service, but some of the other, due to some situation, they think of the Lord or think of the pure devotee either favorably or Kamsa was a demon, asura. And he was completely against Vishnu. He was against Vishnu. So, when the opportunity came for him to actually test his character, his nature, what happened? He was actually having Devaki, who was a great devotee of the Lord, as his sister. And Devaki's marriage is over, and Kamsa, out of affection for his sister Devaki, he decided to actually take his sister, accompany his sister to her husband's house. This is even now there, this traditional custom, right? The brother of the bride will accompany the girl, newly married girl, to the husband's house. So this is the tradition. And Kamsa accompanied Devaki to take her to Vasudeva's house. So Kamsa personally took charge of driving the chariot, horse-driven chariot. And he was holding the reins and personally driving. And he was a rich prince. He didn't have personally driven the chariot, but he chose to do that out of affection for his sister. And on the way, while the chariot was proceeding very nicely, there was musical instruments and band and so many accompanying people. The dowry that Devaki's father gave to Vasudeva was a big dowry. So much gold, so much chariots, so much horses, so much elephants, so much wealth, everything. And Devaki and 200 beautiful girls as maid servants, because Devaki was a princess and Vasudeva was a prince. So princesses married, along with her 200 maid servants also were given. So they were all accompanying, and the procession was proceeding very beautifully. And suddenly there was a voice in the sky that, Kamsa, you are such a foolish fellow that you do not know that the 8th son of your sister Devaki will be the cause of your death. So Kamsa suddenly became alerted, and his demoniac nature was immediately displayed. What did he do? As soon as he heard this, he became very, very angry at Devaki, caught hold of her hair and took his sword, was about to kill her instantaneously. Somehow Vasudeva stopped him and spoke to him and convinced him to spare the life of Devaki. So Kamsa, he was inimical to Vishnu. So later on he came to know that the 8th son of Devaki actually was Vishnu himself, not anybody else, Vishnu. So then he became even more inimical towards Devaki, and he immediately arrested her and Vasudeva, and he decided to kill all the children born of Devaki. 8th son is going to be responsible, whatever. So he nevertheless decided not to take any chance and kill all the children born of Devaki. So he could kill 6 children, and the 7th child who was entered Devaki's womb was actually the Supreme Lord's expansion, Krishna's expansion as Balaram. Balaram had entered, and Balaram was transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb, another queen of Vasudeva. Vasudeva had 16 queens. So he was transferred to Rohini's womb, and Kamsa thought that Devaki was carrying the 7th child, but that child died in the womb. That's what Kamsa thought. It appeared like that. Then he was waiting for the 8th child. So 8th child was Krishna himself, who entered the womb of Devaki through the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Devaki, to the womb of Devaki. And then before Kamsa could actually get hold of this child, as soon as it was born, it was his practice to take the child and kill it. So Kamsa was put into sleep. And after that, Krishna ordered Vasudeva to transfer him to Nanda Gokula. And actually, Kamsa could not get hold of Krishna, but the daughter born of Yashoda and Nanda was exchanged for Krishna by Vasudeva. So then, the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda was Yogamaya, was the supreme potency, spiritual potency of the Lord, appearing as Yogamaya, the sister of Krishna. So she was transferred from Nanda and Yashoda's house. She was born at the same time as Krishna was born. And she was transferred by Vasudeva to the prison. And as soon as she came to the prison, she started crying to wake up. All of them were in sleep. Kamsa and his palace associates and the guards, everybody was in sleep. So they all woke up. Oh, suddenly the 8th child is born. They are anxiously waiting. So then they came and took the 8th child and handed over to Kamsa. Kamsa said, oh, this is a female child. So then he began to wonder, what is the mystery behind this 8th child? That is supposed to be the cause of my death. So he saw a female child. Still, he did not want to take any chance. He wanted to kill that child. So immediately he tried to kill the child, but the child escaped from his hands. And the child appeared as Durga Devi and warned Kamsa that the 8th child was going to be the cause of his death is elsewhere, growing up elsewhere, safe and protected elsewhere. So then Kamsa thought that now the child had escaped, the 8th child, by some trick, and still he pursued. So all the time he was thinking of Krishna inimically, because the fear of death from Krishna was always there in his heart. He was inimically thinking of Krishna while eating, while sleeping, while working, while doing anything. All the time he was thinking of Krishna, 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 Krishna. And why was he thinking of Krishna? How to get hold of Krishna and kill Krishna before Krishna can be the cause of his death. He did not know exactly what's going to happen. But still, that voice he had heard, the prophecy from the sky, he was afraid of death. And of course everybody is afraid of death, but still he was inimical towards Vishnu. So Narada Muni informed him that that 8th child would be Vishnu only, taking birth as this 8th son of Devaki. So he was so much inimical against Vishnu. So even though he was not favorably thinking of Vishnu, still, because he was constantly thinking of Krishna or Vishnu, he became purified and he became liberated. So such thinking, even though unfavorable, can be the cause of purification, can be the cause of liberation, provided they think of the Supreme Lord or His pure devotee. But generally, the choice is given for devotional service. Devotional service, for you to accept, the choice is always there. It is not based on karma, it is not based on some pious activities that somebody can perform, punya. It is not based on some material education. That's why Prabhupada says here that any person can accept devotional service, whether let them be either well behaved or ill trained, let them be either learned or fools, let them be either grossly attached or in the renounced order of life, let them be liberated souls or desirous of salvation. Anyone can accept devotional service because it doesn't require any of these qualifications, unlike the other yoga systems. So one should not mistake Bhakti Yoga to be like other yoga systems, that some pre-qualification is required. No, no qualification is required. But still, what is required? One thing is required. That is mentioned here. The sincere earnestness of the person is the only qualification that is required. You should be sincerely wanting to take up devotional service, to practice Bhakti Yoga, to accept devotional service. That is required. That's the only thing that is required, nothing else. So it's your choice. If you accept, you can practice, you can follow, you can reach the highest perfection without any other consideration, without any other qualification, without any other requirement. You can simply, and that also is said here, you see, you can take up devotional service in any mode, either simply by engaging one of your senses. You should engage all your senses, but let us say somebody engages only one of his senses, either only in hearing, or only in chanting, or only in remembering. Even that can give you perfection. You can offer any item to Krishna, insignificant thing like water or leaf or flower or fruit. In worshipping Krishna, there is no need for any elaborate arrangements. You see, worship means, the scriptures describe, so many details are there for worshipping God or worshipping even a devata. Upacharas. There are 64 different types of upacharas, and there are so many rules of cleanliness, rules of preparation of the worship. Purvanga karma it is called. Very elaborate. You see in the temples how they do. Or at home also. You may follow some scriptural injunctions. You may do so many details of preparation for the worship. And the worship itself, you have to be trained up. The mantra, the procedure, the prayoga. So many things are there. But for worshipping Krishna in bhakti, there is no need for any preparation. There is no need to follow any rules. There is no need for any other qualification. Only the sincere desire in the heart to actually worship Krishna and offer Him with love and devotion. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, yome, bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhakti upahrutam ashnami. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I accept. This is the most confidential knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. What is this? That if one offers with me and to me with love and devotion a flower or a fruit or little water or even a leaf, I will accept it provided it is offered with devotion. So the only thing that is required is your sincere earnestness to offer to Krishna. That's all. No other rule, no other condition is there. So this is the standard of, this is the potency, this is the power of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. So such Bhakti Yoga has to be initiated by a pure devotee or the Lord Himself. You cannot take up Bhakti Yoga of this standard if you officially approach some person who may even be well versed in the Vedas, who may be well versed in the procedure, who may be a learned scholar, or who may be a respectable superior. No, it doesn't work. You have to approach a pure devotee who is empowered by the Lord to preach this devotional service. An acharya, one coming in parampara, one who is a representative of Krishna directly, a direct representative of Krishna, one empowered by Krishna. He can give you, initiate you into bhakti. So such a personality is Prabhupada. You see, please understand, in the Bhagavatam it is said by Shukadeva Goswami, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana Kotishvapi Mahamuni Sudurlabha Prashantarma. If you want to search for such a devotee who can grant you or initiate you pure bhakti, This kind of bhakti, what I am talking here, what I have so far described, unconditional bhakti, then you should actually approach such a devotee, such a personality, such a Vaishnava. Now such Vaishnavas are called Narayana Parayana. Narayana Parayana means they are 100% dedicated and devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Their every breath, their every moment is spent in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. They have no other business. They have nothing else to do in this world. Such a person, if you approach, then you can get initiated into this practice of pure devotional service. Your bhakti within can be aroused, can be awakened only by such a person. And such people are called Kotishvapi Mahamune Sudurlabha Prashanta. Even among crores of Mukta Purushas, liberated souls, crores of Siddha Purushas, perfected beings in this universe, those are perfect by culture, by training, by knowledge, by education, by samskara. Even among such people, Sudurlabha, very, 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 very rare to find such a person. Parikshit Maharaj was very, very fortunate to actually meet Shukadeva Goswami. Because before Shukadeva Goswami arrived in that assembly where Parikshit Maharaj had retired from his kingly duties in order to prepare for death, he had met so many saintly persons. Nobody was able to direct him how he can do something for the next 7 days to achieve highest perfection within that short period. At the end of that life, nobody could direct him. Till Shukadeva Goswami arrived in that assembly. And the Shukadeva Goswami, who gave him assurance that I shall now tell you how you can achieve perfection in 7 days. He said 7 days is a lot of time. Everyone else is telling 7 days is very short time. Shukadeva Goswami is telling 7 days is a lot of time. 1 moment is enough. If you are prepared to follow what I am going to tell you, 1 moment is enough. So, this is the power of pure devotional service as taught by Shukadeva Goswami, as taught by Prabhupada, as taught by the Acharyas in Parampara. So coming in this pure devotee Parampara, you have to approach such an Acharya for this pure devotional service. Then we begin devotional service, then that devotional service got a lot of power, a lot of potency. It can immediately give you perfection provided you are ready for accepting it. In any case, you have to be initiated into such bhakti by such a pure devotee. So, that is being explained here. Such devotional service is universal. It can be accepted by anybody, provided it is administered by a pure devotee. That is the only requirement. Let's stop it. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada.